Knockout Fantasy Football Show. Today is Tuesday, July 5th. My name is Marc. Did you guys have a good 4th of July? I know I did. Well, I had to work last night, so didn't get to completely celebrate like we normally do, but it was fun. Hope you guys all have fun and not recovering too much this morning. Today's show, you can follow, or first off, you can follow the show. We're on social media. We're at Fantasy Knockout on Twitter. We're at Fantasy_Knockout on Instagram. We're on YouTube now, so check those out. I'm excited for today's show. We're going to talk coaching changes, but first, let's talk some news.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Here is the news.
News with views. We only got one thing. Terry McLaurin, wide receiver for the Washington Commanders. He signed an extension for 3 years, $71 million. So Terry is going to stay in Washington. So good for him. Let's move on to the coaching changes. Some of you guys are probably questioning, going, what does this really have to do with fantasy football? Well, coaching does matter. Let's just look at the Jacksonville Jaguars last year with Urban Meyer. I'm sure he had a huge impact on how that team underperformed. So we're just going to quickly hit some of these head coaching position changes, the offensive coordinator position changes that would affect fantasy, and we'll go over a little bit about some of the bullet points of why I think it's good or bad or whatever. So we'll start off, we'll just go to alphabetical order. So the Chicago Bears, they are replacing Matt Nagy and Bill Lazor. Bill Lazor was the offensive coordinator, Nagy was the head coach. They are replacing them with Matt Eberflus and Luke Getsy. Eberflus was Indianapolis's defensive coordinator, and Getsy was the Green Bay's quarterback coach. So Eberflus's legacy will be basically intertwined with Justin Fields. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully he can do better there than Nagy had. And then Getsy, he's in my opinion, he's kind of a big gamble. This is going to be the first time calling play, so we'll see how that works out in Chicago. Next is the Denver Broncos. They're replacing Vic Fangio and Pat Schumer with Nathaniel Hackett, who is Green Bay's offensive coordinator, and Justin Otten, the Green Bay tight end coach from last year. So Hackett, he's had a ton of success in Green Bay, but he's also been tied with a Hall of Fame quarterback in Aaron Rodgers. So he's getting Russell Wilson, so I imagine he will do well. He'll put together a good offensive system, and Denver will be a lot better than last year as far as offensively. The offense it's just going to see a huge impact with that, like I said, with adding quarterback Russell Wilson. The Houston Texans are next. They're replacing David Culley and Tim Kelly with Lovie Smith and Pep Hamilton. They both are getting promotions from Houston. So Lovie was a defensive coordinator. He's now the head coach. And Pep was the quarterback coach. Now is going to be the offensive coordinator. So I feel bad for Culley, who was basically in a no-win situation last year. Pep, he was there during the development of Andrew Luck in Indianapolis. But I doubt that they have the same luck, yes, pun intended, that as they did in Indy. I do like Davis Mills, but I mean, he's not going to be any star fantasy quarterback anytime soon, but he is going to do a lot better than I think people give him credit for. Next, the Jacksonville Jaguars. They are replacing Urban Meyer. Woo! And Darrell Bevell. Those guys are out. Doug Peterson is in. Yes, you guys remember him. He was the Philadelphia coach when they won the Super Bowl. Press Taylor is going to be the new offensive coordinator. He's coming from Indianapolis as like a senior offensive assistant. So basically, you're going to have to forget everything you know from last year about Jacksonville. Like, seriously, just delete it from your memory because Urban was just atrocious when it came to the NFL coaching. Peterson and Taylor have had a ton of experience together, and I expect them to put Lawrence in a much better situation than Urban ever did. Next is the Las Vegas Raiders, my Raiders. I know you guys are probably going, oh, he's a homer. No, I'm actually pretty rough on and grading my team. I hold them to a way higher standard than most do. So let's move on. They're going to be replacing John Gruden and Rich Bisaccia. Greg Olson was the offensive coordinator, who I was never a fan of. They are replacing with Josh McDaniels and Mick Lombardi. They are coming over from New England. So it's been 12 years since McDaniels was the head coach of the Broncos. That seems like a long time ago. Now, that was when my daughter was born. Wow. Long time ago. I expect this offense to be much better than last year. It might take some time, though, in my opinion, to get the timing and gelling and stuff down. Next is Miami Dolphins. They're replacing Brian Flores, which I have no idea why. I thought he was a solid coach. And Godsey and Studsville, they were the OCs, so they're all out. They're replacing him with Mike McDaniel. He's coming from San Francisco. And then Frank Smith is going to be the offensive coordinator there. He was the Chargers run game coordinator. So I expect a lot of running to go on in Miami. My opinion is it's Waddle. McDaniels has preached how he wants to get Jalen Waddle uber involved in the game plan, very similar to how they had Deebo Samuel there in San Francisco last year. Next is the Minnesota Vikings. They're replacing Mike Zimmer and Clint Kubiak with Kevin O'Connell, who was the Rams offense coordinator last year, and Wes Phillips, who was the Rams tight end coach. So they are pulling guys from McVay's system to run in Minnesota. O'Connell and Phillips are carrying the musk of Sean McVay, like I just said, and they just came off a Super Bowl run. So the situation in Minnesota is ripe, and we should expect business as usual with the offensive weapons. Probably a little bit more pass happy than run eccentric like we're used to with Kubiak's system. In my opinion, Justin Jefferson, he is elite. Dalvin Cook's awesome. And if Kirk Cousins is officially back, they should be continuing trucking, and they're going to compete for the NFC North with the Packers. Next is the New Orleans Saints. They're replacing Sean Payton in the head coach with Dennis Allen. He filled in the interim last year a little bit. Did well. You just got to know Payton's era, it's over. What we had expected of the Saints in years past is no longer. It's going to be a lot different. Allen is good. He's been a long-time defensive coordinator. So the defenses will still be solid there. I don't know about the offense so much. It's Pete Carmichael, and he's been in that role for 14 years, so I'm sure it'll be very similar to what we're used to, just not as creative, maybe. So last is the New York Giants. They're replacing Joe Judge and Jason Garrett. Thank goodness. They're getting Brian Daboll from Buffalo. He's the offense coordinator there in Buffalo with Josh Allen. He's going to move down to New York or move over. And then Mike Kafka, he was the Kansas City quarterback coach. So I expect the offense to be a lot better in New York. This organization was an absolute train wreck with Joe Judge and Jason Garrett and Dave Gettleman. Oh, thank goodness Dave's gone. The Bull's going to have his work cut out for him, even though McDaniels does share some comparable traits as Josh Allen. But, we'll see. I see an uptick in their offensive stats this year. Let's talk some coordinator changes real quick. There's only about 5 to go over. New coordinators that could still have an impact in the fantasy realm. Buffalo Bills are replacing Brian Daboll with Ken Dorsey, who was the quarterback coach there in Buffalo. He was the former University of Miami's quarterback coach. Expect much of the same with Josh Allen. I don't see much changing. The Carolina Panthers, they're replacing Joe Brady with Ben McAdoo. Oh, we're going back there. Ben McAdoo was the Dallas consultant last year, but he was the head coach within the Giants a couple years back. You're not going to find too many truthers or McAdoo truthers out there. The one more curious hires this offseason. I don't quite understand it. So, Ben's going to be the offense coordinator for Carolina. Next is the Detroit Lions. They're replacing Anthony Lynn, who I thought did pretty well, with Ben Johnson. He was the tight end coach in Detroit. So Johnson saw an increased role in the passing game, as a passing game coordinator the second half of the season. Lynn, on the other hand, did not work out so well, and another retread coach, I guess. So Green Bay Packers, they got a lot of guys to replace. They're replacing Nathaniel Hackett with Adam Stenovich. He was the Green Bay offensive line coach. So Rodgers and LaFleur, they're the real offensive coordinators there. So I'm sure Adam's just going to fill in. the best he can. And then the Rams, they've lost some key coaches. They're replacing Kevin O'Connell with Liam Cohen, and y'all know McVay is the show, and it's all McVay in Los Angeles. Well, that's going to wrap it up for today. I want to say thank you for listening to the show. Please leave a rating and review wherever you can. Next show is the NFL Draft Review. All right, till next time. See ya!